Hello, welcome back to the 1921 Diary series. If you're jumping in for the first time, this is the 1921 Diaries of Grand Duke Dmitry Pavlovich of Russia. He's about 28 and a half years old at this stage. He's in exile, and this diary entry is written in Paris. And we're going through these one at a time. So we're up to the 12th of January on the old calendar and the 30th of January on the Western calendar. So it was that day in Paris. It was the 30th of January. It was a Wednesday. And as usual, Dmitry gives us his address, 76 Rue Miromesnil, and I don't think I will ever forget that address. Even if I'm, an old man who's lost his marbles, I think I'll still be able to recite 76 Rue Miromesnil, and maybe people will find that quite mysterious. Okay, let's dive into this interesting diary entry. I wrote in the morning, then put on my sports clothes and went to the Vichfelds at the Ritz. We ended up deciding to play golf today, but the weather didn't cooperate at all. Nonetheless, I managed to persuade him, meaning Axel Vichfeld. We lunched in Saint-Cloud and then played 9 holes. I was horrible, and it was also drizzling the whole time. After golf, both of us went to Germain's for tea. She dragged me to see some American called Mr Odby. There were masses of people at his place. Most of them were probably gay men. There were only 2 or 3 girls. It was amazingly dull and tedious, and I wouldn't have gone there for anything. I dined with Vichfeld at Zero, and then we went to watch some boxing matches, but the fights were really bad. Afterwards, I dropped by his place for a minute and then went home. Okay, so we keep learning a little bit more about Germaine, I guess. I don't know how you pronounce it in French. I'm going to call her Germaine. We keep learning a little bit about her. We start out with, oddly enough, Dmitry doesn't go to his sister's house that Wednesday. So maybe she was out for the day. But he puts on his golf clothes, goes to the Ritz, and he manages to talk Axel into going out to Saint-Cloud with him to play golf, even though it's raining. Clearly not raining hard, but just a drizzle, a light rain, and he still hasn't managed to develop a good golf game. His skills are still lacking, and that frustrates him a lot. But, he's honest about it. So they just play 9 holes instead of 18. And then they go, and he manages to get Axel to go, or maybe he didn't have to persuade Axel. Maybe Axel wanted to go to Germain's flat with the Chinese Indian decor for tea. Dmitry had also gone there for tea the day before and had said that he had behaved himself in an exemplary way, so hadn't got up to any hanky-panky with Germaine, and, maybe it helped to have Axel Vichfeld along. I'm sure it did. Axel, as you know, was a married man, and Dmitry knew his wife well and seemed to have liked her. That was Mabel, but, my guess would be that Axel just went along out of curiosity. And then they part ways. So Axel goes off somewhere, and using the singular verb ending, Dmitry says that she dragged him off, not him and Axel, but just him, to see some American called Mr. Odby. And Mr. Odby has quite a gathering of people at his place. Probably a flat, maybe a house, I don't know. He's American. It's actually a Danish name. I wanted to double check to see that that was an actual name and not just one of Dimitri's phonetic or misspellings. And it turns out it is an actual name. It's Danish, but our Mr. Odby is American, and he has lots of people at his place. And Dimitri, most of them are women, or sorry, most of them are men. There are only 3 girls, and Dimitri uses a mildly offensive word to say that he got the impression that these were gay men. So I'm, by and large, I'm not going to put the disparaging words into the video. I'm going to save those for the actual published text. I think with a published text, with a published historical text, and I'm hoping my ideal would be to find a university publisher, an academic publisher, and in that case, you need to put everything in. But I can tell you that it's not a horrible one. So yeah, he guesses that they're probably gay men, and there are only 3 girls. So here, the question arises: what is Germaine? When Dimitri says that he behaved himself with her, then that gives the impression that she was available for sex. But she seems to have been almost more of a procuress. And he's using this word, girl, this form of the word dievica. So ordinarily, you would refer to a girl as dievichka for a little girl, or dievushka for, say, a teenage girl. And the literal translation of the word dievica is maiden. Well, these are not maidens. And maybe somebody can tell me if that was a slang word, probably, a sarcastic or ironic word for a sex worker. I don't know, but they're certainly being presented to Dimitri as women who are available for that activity. And in the previous diary entry, when he goes with the 2 other guys to Germaine's place and they get up to nonsense, as he puts it, he doesn't even know the name of one of the women. One of them is called Gugu. The other one, he doesn't even know her name. In this instance, he doesn't mention their names, and he doesn't seem to have wanted to do anything with them. So, yeah. So my overall impression is that Mr. Odby, his place was, a place where people went if they wanted sex. Maybe not actually a house of ill repute, but yeah, something along those lines. And maybe that was one of the places where these undercover police officers who were tailing Dimitri took note of when they made their report that he'd gone to this place. All right, that's enough on that subject. He re-meets up not with Axel and Maybelle, not with both of them, but just with Axel at Ciro, one of his favorite hangouts. And then they go together to watch the boxing matches that are going on. And yeah, Dimitri wasn't passionate about boxing, but it was something that he did. If he had another fellow or even a woman who liked it, they would go to boxing matches. I don't know if he was the one who initiated it, but quite possibly, because he liked them, and he talks about some of the champions of that day. And yeah, but these aren't good matches. The fights are really bad, he says, so apparently boring. And then he goes back with Vichfeld to his place for a minute, and then he goes home, and there's no return to anything with Germaine or these women that she'd wanted to introduce him to. And actually, in the next diary entry, or the one after, Charlie Brighton comes back into the scene. So Charlie Brighton was this woman that he knew, who was another one who was available, but she seems to have been at sort of a higher level, if not of respectability, then at least she was in higher circles. And so he meets up with her. And then what? Yeah, it's Russian New Year. So there's the next diary entry is really interesting because Dmitri goes off shopping and buys gifts for several people and receives gifts himself. So what we didn't have at Christmas, when he told us what he got for his little sisters and what Maria got for her husband, we don't have that. Yeah, but he doesn't tell us, he didn't tell us if he got anything from Maria. He didn't tell us if he received anything from Maria, although we know that he got expensive gifts from his stepmother. But this time, he gives us the full account of what he buys for other people and what other people buy for him. So that will be fun, and hopefully see you next time. Bye.